Hello everybody, welcome back to Dried Up Flower Farm. I'm here in the greenhouse. I wanted to bring you out. I haven't done a video in a while, I'm sorry, but I've been busy with the flowers, and I started my fall seeds, and I started them on the heat mat, and I'm doing an experiment because last year all I knew was to and what I had learned, I didn't have the greenhouse then either, was to start them on a seedling heat mat and put them under grow lights, and that's the way I started my seeds last year. And so this year I thought, well, since I have the greenhouse, let's see what would happen if we brought them down here. And the status is thriving. I mean, got a few hits and misses here, and there's some still coming. I'm getting ready to water them. They're a little dry, and my seed blocks, I think I must not have put something in them. I must have missed a step or something, but as you can see here, this is lavender snapdragons that I've planted for next spring. And I'm gonna have to pick this up a little bit because you can see that they have sprouted, and I put them on the heat mat, and now I'm bringing them out here to finish them. Those are more status. This right here is lupine, and I made a perennial bed. I was going to bring y'all along for that yesterday, making the bed, because I wanted to show you, how I was making the bed. So they look really good, don't they? I started a tray just like this one earlier, a few weeks ago, and they all died. I don't know what happened to them. They just died. And so I started a second tray, and actually, to be honest with you, you see that right there? That is not a lupine. Oops, sorry. Right there. That's not a lupine. That is a bee balm, because this tray was actually a tray of bee balm that I started, and I realized, how am I going to, because the bee balm seed was tiny, like really tiny, and I thought, how am I going to water it without washing the seed off of it? And my husband came out the door, didn't see the tray, stepped on the tray, and as you can see, some of the holes do not have dirt in them anymore. So I don't know where my bee balm seeds went. They just scattered everywhere. So I said, okay, that's a loss. So I started the lupine in what was left of the soil in the trays. But then I realized, look, this is bee balm, bee balm, bee balm, and here is a bee balm. I think that's one right there. So I may get a few bee balm out of it anyway. There's two right there. There, right there. And so I may get some bee balm out of that anyway. And this, I started this tray down here. And you just lay these seeds on top of the soil. And as you can see, there's one right there that's popping up. And then you see all these little tiny ones. And, I'm just learning how to use my greenhouse. So that is working, but I don't know why, this section here is from here where my finger is to back here is Perry Sun Rubeckia. And that's a Rubeckia that the middle of the yellow flower is a bright green. So I'm excited to have those. But then back here, from here back, is Cherokee Sunset. And I don't see any. Do you see any? I don't see any germination. I don't see any little green plant. If you see any, you let me know, because I don't see any. So anyway, I'm gonna give it more time. And this is a tray of snapdragons I started. It's apple blossom, and I started this in the greenhouse. And you can tell they're all dried out. They need some water, and I do see some germination. But all the ones that I started on this heat mat are much quicker to germinate. And it's hot in here. I mean, it's hotter in blazes. It's 100 in here. And I opened up the door to get some of this heat out. I'm gonna water these while I'm down here. I'm gonna give them plenty of water. You know, that's the best thing about the greenhouse is you can overfill these trays if you want to, and you can pour off the excess right here in the greenhouse. You know, in the house it's a little different. You have to either pour just enough for the plant and then wonder, did you get them all? Or either you overwater and then you have to take the tray outside to pour out the excess. And then you risk spilling it, like I do many times, in the floor. So I'm really loving my greenhouse, y'all. So it looks like it's, you know, it's working. I just got to figure out, you know, because these are cool flowers, so they like coolness, but they also like warmth to germinate. And here's some more I brought down here yesterday. And they're looking good. They're tiny, but they look really good. And I'll take y'all up to the perennial bed in just a second, as soon as I water these. I want that middle to get some water. Might have to pour a little in that little hole there. Might risk losing a block. And here are more status, and these are for next spring, y'all. This isn't for the fall. I'm going to be planting these in another couple of weeks. Uh-oh, I'm going to lose that one. Dog it. When I made my blocks, I really think I left something out, because some of my blocks are just melting. They're melting. They're melting away. Might have to go get some more water too to finish this up. Yeah, gonna have to get some water. So I'll take this up here, and these are my last succession plants of sunflowers. That tray is a little spotty, and it's leggy. It's just growing, you know, out of the world. And then this one, look at this one. I need some water too. That's White Knight. Something's been chomping on it. Look at that. I don't need the leaves. I just need the blooms. But anyway, let's see. I don't know if you were here with me when I planted the wheelbarrow. I've got a picture of that when it's in its full glory, but now that it's been hot, and we didn't get any rain, and I forget to come down here. This is what the wheelbarrow looks like. The super petunias have petered out now, but the purple fountain grass looks great. So I'm going to take you to the perennial bed. And like I said, I was going to bring you along to the perennial bed and watch, so you could watch me make it, on how I make some of my beds. But all right, I'm gonna be honest, I was attacked by ants twice, and I just said the heck with it. I'm not doing it today. I'm not feeling it. But here is it's not finished by no means, but it does have dirt in it. My husband's very funny about where I plant beds because he does not want to have to mow around beds. But y'all, look at the yard. Do you know how much space I have to plant? We're planning on putting that over there beyond these crepe myrtle trees, like right there on the other side of them, a fence for the dogs to run in. And a little fence down there, see my chickens? So that they'll have a little run also to get out during the day and kind of walk around and be able to have, you know, natural bugs and things to eat. And but what we did was we came in and we sprayed the grass to kill it inside of the bed, because I didn't want to fool with a bunch of grass. I've done that before. Don't like it. And then I had some newspapers that I had been saving. I had been gathering newspapers and I had them in a big tote. Well, my husband moved the tote out from under the shed. It rained, got most of the newspapers soaking wet. I laid them out, thought they were dried and everything, and he said he put them back in the tote. Well, I really think he threw them away. He wasn't going to mess with those. And anyway, I had some left, and I was digging down into the tote to get them. There was a black widow spider in the bottom of the stinking tote. I don't like spiders. So I'm running everywhere looking for spider spray. I got him. Hopefully there's no more in there, because I wasn't digging around to look. I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna dig it in there to look around to see if there was another one in there. I sprayed the tote really well. I got what newspapers were in there out and made sure there wasn't any spiders on them. And I put those newspapers under this dirt. Wasn't enough newspaper to go around, but I did line, you can see some of the newspaper here. I lined the brick. See, there's some sticking up right there. Because we had these laid down, and I said, you know, instead of going back and buying more, why not stand them up? But then, you know, see that big crack there? Then grass can grow up in there, or the dirt can fall out. So I put newspaper along all the edges of this. And of course it'll rot over time, that's fine. But it will keep the dirt in there until it gets nice and compacted and it won't come out. And so we got the tractor out and put dirt in here, and I want to put those lupines in here because they're perennials, so I want to put some of those in here. And I want to put, I've got some Dusty Miller that I want to put in here. And this is a big bed. I mean, I can do a lot in here. But I realized it's so big, you know, I'm going to have to make myself a little pathway. So, like, I'm going to plant maybe from here to maybe here, and then have me a little pathway to go up, and then come over and plant like from right there to here, and then have a little pathway and do a little bit more and another pathway. And it's a work in progress. But I feel good about it because I have some Dusty Miller, and those lupines really probably need to come on out and get planted so that they can develop their root system before we have our first frost. And here, I'm not going to step over in there because there are ants. There's an ant bait there, and he put another one where they attacked me because as I was doing this bed here, I came around here and saw some weeds that needed to be pulled, so I saw a squirrel and had to get those out. And as I was pulling them, because you see some more there, isn't that pretty? That's so pretty. I'm not going to step over there because they attacked me. The ants attacked my shoes. I had ants. I was standing over in it to get the weeds out, and something bit me on my toe, and I looked down and my shoes were covered in ants. And these have, you know, holes in them, and so the ants had they were all over my shoes. And there's another ant bait that we put out, and we put some granules out that we had gotten. And they're so pretty, even dried on the, they're pretty. Might cut them off and make some kind of, and put them in a wreath or something. So I wanted to show you that. I wanted to show you my greenhouse and all of the new fall little seedlings I had. I got to get some water and go back down there and water those. And when I plant the Dusty Miller in here and the lupine, of course those few little tiny bee bombs, they'll stay in the greenhouse for a couple of more weeks, and hopefully they will be big enough for me to plant out here in the perennial bed. And I would like to have more perennial beds, and I have some space to do them. I just have to keep them where the man can mow around them without a lot of trouble. So, and that's going to happen. I may have to talk him into it, but it'll happen. And you can, I don't know if you can see the flower garden up there, the cut flower field. It's still blooming. The pumpkins are down there with the corn stalks. I asked him to save me a few corn stalks so I could decorate. And then those two new bare spots you see, that's where I'm going to have my spring flowers next year. And ooh, I have some exciting news too. Isn't that pretty? Look at there. See, I see a squirrel. I can't help it. It's so pretty. It's blooming again. I've cut on it twice to get those out from under there and tried to keep the grass out. That's the hardest thing ever. Ever. But I've ordered 75 more peonies for next year. So they'll come, I think they're going to arrive in November actually. And I will plant them, and I'll bring you along with me. And my tomatoes are just, I never staked those. They just flopped over. I'm just like, whatever. You know, it's time for the season to be over for me. And if you can see those dahlia cuttings I took up there, I had a dahlia to split and fall. So I took as many cuttings off of it as I could. These are dead heads. I'm standing on from my hydrangea. And it gets really hot in the afternoons here, and this is what happened this year. The sun scorched it. On this side of the house, they get the afternoon blazing sun, and it hasn't ever been a problem really until this year. It's so I'm probably going to have to do something about that. I don't know. You know, see the buds down there on that stem. You can see those little buds. It's already set its buds for next year. This one is probably a stick that'll come out next year. I'll probably get that out. But anyway, so everything's, you know, from the sun and no water, is kind of petering out this year for the year. But that's okay, because fall is coming and it's time. And we're all tired. So, thank you so much for coming by and being with me. As you can tell, the Rubeckia is gone also. I'm going to cut that down and clean that up because it just looks like a mess right now. I mean, a really big mess. See how big this one got? Well, it was two here. It was two little patches right there, and it just it gets out of hand. And then if it now HM pushed that down. He said it's time for this to go. Yes, it is. It's time for it to go. You can cut it. I don't want him to cut, like mow it down, but I want him to, we're going to cut, like, you see this little green down here? We're not going to cut that because that needs to die back naturally. But these stems right here, you can cut all the way, you know, down to the ground. But it needs to keep its green foliage until it just dies back naturally. Whew. All right, y'all. I want to show you this. This has been my favorite pot the whole year. That's my favorite pot. It has bloomed, and it looks like fire coming. You know, it's like flames almost next to the fire pit there. But that's been my favorite pot of the year. So, and that will stay there for a little while longer. All right. Well, the man's home with the tractor, and you won't be able to hear a thing for the dogs in the tractor. All right. So you all have a great Sunday. Thank you for coming along to the Dry Dock Flower Farm. And sorry I can't turn the camera around at all. It won't let me. Anyway, so you guys have a great Sunday. Thank you so much. Come back and see us again here at the Dry Dock Flower Farm. Bye-bye.